but because of this, it is also the most important and vital part of your application. And I cannot stress that enough. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie, otherwise known as the Vintage Academic. I'm a transfer student at UC Berkeley. I'm currently a senior. I study Anthropology and Archaeology. I am also the head of the Transfer Admissions Division over at Accepted Consulting, where I help students get into their dream universities. And I'm here to tell you, as a person whose college essays were accepted to every college that I applied to, step by step, how to write a good college application essay. So not only were all of my essays accepted, but I also professionally edit people's essays to help them get into their dream universities. So if that's something that you think you might want, go ahead and check the links in the description below to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. And to go along with this video, I also have developed an essay guide that will help you get started on writing your application, and you can find that in the links below as well. So like I said in today's video, we're going to go over step by step how to write a good college application essay, including the formula for writing a great essay, what the structure of your essay should look like. So thank you for being here with me today, and let's go ahead and jump into it. First things first is brainstorming. Now this is probably going to sound really obvious, but the first thing that you have to do is to brainstorm what topics you want to write about. I mean, you can't write an essay unless you have something to write about. Now brainstorming is definitely an easier said than done kind of thing, but like I said, it's incredibly important. So let me share a couple of brainstorming tips with you, a couple of things to keep in mind when you're doing your brainstorming to help you identify a topic that's going to be really beneficial to your essay. So there are three things I want to talk about. The first one being to think of some kind of experience, personal anecdote, an aha moment, which is a moment where you've realized something about yourself or realized something that you want to do, that you can narrativize or turn into a story in order to show and illustrate who you are as a person. Now this shouldn't just be any old interaction like picking up a coffee in the morning. It should be something that is deeply personal to you, something that you personally experienced, something that was really impactful and meaningful and really changed the course of how you think, helped you grow, made you decide to go into the area of study that you want to study, something like that. The second thing you should keep in mind while brainstorming your topics is to think about the things that you value and how you can convey that to the admissions officer, because that's really what your essay is about. The essay is to illustrate and to show the admissions officer what it is that you value and why you value them. So things like leadership, community, responsibility, working with others, perseverance, being able to develop some kind of story that conveys your values in order to show the admissions officer what your principles are and your personal judgment for what is important in life. Then number three, in terms of actually getting an idea onto paper, one of the things that I like to do is a brain dump, where I just take all of the thoughts that are swirling around in my head and I dump them onto a piece of paper. From there, you can either select one of the ideas that you wrote down and start exploring that topic, or another option is to make a mind map, which is where you select a topic and you start thinking of all the different things that branch off from that topic and kind of see where that leads you. A mind map is also a really good way to determine whether or not you have enough to say about one particular subject to actually develop an entire narrative about it. Okay, so now that we've brainstormed some topics, you have an idea of what you want to talk about, let's move on to step two, which is developing an outline. While an outline might not always be necessary for shorter or supplemental essays, creating an outline for a longer essay like a personal statement or the common application essays is going to help you stay on track thematically with your writing and also help your essay come through in a cohesive manner. So generally speaking, here is the structure of what a good college application essay looks like, and you can use these different sections as bullet points for an outline for your essay so you can start filling them in. The first one is the personal anecdote. So like I said in the previous section, when you're brainstorming, thinking of some kind of personal anecdote, a moment of connection, a realization moment, something that kind of creates that personal connection between who you are as a person and the reader. In this personal anecdote, in the beginning of your essay, you should also include a hook, and a hook is meant to grab the reader's attention. It has to be something slightly intriguing, but make sure it's not coming across as cheesy or campy. This should be genuine, authentically you, and something that is going to make the reader want to read more. For a quick example, the intro sentence to one of my favorite college essays that I wrote starts like this. Susanville, California. It's the high desert where the sun is hot, the air is dry, and the wind blows dust into places you never thought it could reach. It's also the location of my first archaeological experience. See, in this case, I'm grabbing the reader's attention by giving them something a little tiny bit funny, a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I'm setting the place up geographically visually so they have this image of what's going on in their head, and I'm leading them into my field of study, which is archaeology, by dropping in that archaeological experience and also setting up the rest of the narrative for that essay, which is going to be talking about my archaeological experience, my personal connection, my personal anecdote, and why it was impactful and what I learned from it. For more on what essays actually sound like, go ahead and check the description below for links to videos where I actually read out loud my accepted and my rejected essays so you can get a better sense of what universities are looking for and what they're not looking for. When you're writing the personal anecdote in the introduction section of your essay, you'll also want to be thinking about how this personal anecdote is going to play into your paper both thematically and in the conclusion. The personal anecdote is also really important because it's going to provide concrete examples from your life that will show, rather than tell the admissions officer, what it is you're trying to convey to them about who you are, what makes you tick, how you think, how you learn, all of the above. For example, instead of saying something like, I love ballet and that's why I want to major in dance, you could say something along the lines of, the feeling of the bar underneath my hand as I start to warm up for this day's practice is the feeling of home for me. Something along those lines that again shows what it is you're thinking, how you're feeling, what it is you value, the skills you've developed, how you can apply them in real life to academic studies. Essentially, these concrete examples from your life, this story is proof of what it is you're trying to convey to the admissions officer. The next section that you're going to write about is the connection to your academics, your scholarly interests. At some point in your essay, you've got to start connecting what it is you want to study with who you are as a person. I mean, you can start doing this in your personal anecdote like I did, talking about my archaeological experience, but the introduction of your essay doesn't necessarily have to be exactly about what you want it is you want to study. That personal anecdote can just be a writing device to get the reader's attention and get them to start understanding you as a unique individual. If that's the case, then again, you need to start connecting it to your background and to your scholarly interests. So whatever it is you want to study, make sure that the personal information that you're sharing about yourself is connected to those academic interests in some way. Forging this connection is going to lead you on into the next section, which is your background. Throughout your essay, you're going to want to work in what your academic and extracurricular background looks like. Now, every time that I make a video or I talk to somebody about college admissions and writing the college essay, I have to make it very clear that you must absolutely avoid writing the resume essay. The resume essay is essentially the most generic, common version of a college application essay that you're going to get, where you take all of the classes that you've taken and all of the extracurriculars you've participated in and write them out in paragraph form as a way to theoretically show that you're capable of being a college student. This is not a good essay, and like I said, it's actually a super generic and common format. It's not going to make you stand out at all, so what you're going to need to do is to take all of the things that you've done and connect them back to that personal connection. This is going to help illustrate why it is you want to do, why you want to do. Throughout this entire video and any videos that I make on advice for writing the college admissions essay, the number one thing that I'm trying to convey is that showing who you are rather than telling who you are is going to be the thing that makes your paper stand out. So throughout this section, I want you to continually challenge yourself to show rather than tell through your experiences what is important to you, why it's important to you, demonstrating growth, demonstrating your capability to learn, and weaving in your personal thoughts and passions into all of the things that you do. Again, please just do not write the resume essay, and in fact, you don't have to write about all of the things that you have done in your life to prove to the admissions officers that you're worthy of admission. College applications, after all, have an extracurricular section for a reason, and they're going to be able to see the things that you have done. What's important about the essay is selecting the things that are the most important to you and using that as a way to illustrate your personality and who you are to the admissions officer. The fourth section that you're going to think about, and this might be in the essay or it might be a supplemental essay, which is a little bit different, but it's going to be the why this university section. Now, when you're writing the why this university section, you have to be as specific as you can possibly get. And I mean, throughout the entire essay, you should be specific because this should be unique to you, but writing the why this university section should not sound like, I love the weather, or I think the campus is cool. You should be doing a deep dive into who the faculty are, what coursework is going to be available to you, what kinds of clubs and activities that you want to join, how is this education going to be mutually beneficial between yourself and the university campus. Really dig in, do research on the website, look at the faculty members, look at the research that they're doing. Look at the ways that you are going to be able to contribute to this campus and really use specific details to talk about why it is you want to get your education at that specific university. And then the last section, the fifth section, is a strong conclusion. Now, when you're writing a college application essay, it's not the same as your typical high school or college essay where you write the conclusion in order to summarize what you talked about and maybe restate your thesis and talk about what evidence you used. What it is going to do, however, is wrap up your essay in some way that connects back to your personal anecdote. This is where thinking thematically, like I mentioned before, is going to be really beneficial. So keep that in mind when you are outlining how can you wrap up all the things that you've talked about in your conclusion to connect it all together, make it cohesive. What you should not do in any college admissions essay is to introduce new information. The conclusion is not the place to add new information. It's not the place to add in something out of left field, because you don't have the time to talk about it and it's going to change the entire tone of the essay. If you didn't talk about it in the rest of your essay, it should not be in your conclusion. Okay, so now that we have the general outline for your essay and you have some advice about how to think about what goes in each section, you've got an idea about what you want to write about and how you're going to write it, we can move on to the next step, step 3, which is to get pen to paper. Take your outline and start turning it into sentences. Just word dump. Write a super roughest of rough drafts you've ever written. Just get the pen onto paper and start fleshing out all of those amazing ideas that you've had swirling around in your brain during the brainstorming section. Remember, this is just an initial draft. It does not have to be pretty and perfect prose. All I want you to do is to start fleshing out that structure, begin developing the thematic tone of your essay, and resist the urge to go back and edit sentence by sentence. Really, like I said, just focus in on fleshing out the structure and thinking thematically, and you can focus on word choice and eloquence in the next section, which is to revise, revise, and revise some more. During your revision process, when you're writing through multiple drafts, is when you can really start to think about word choice, sentence flow, eloquence, prose, using analogies, using literary devices. This is where you should be exercising those creative writing skills that I absolutely know you have. Like I've been saying this entire time, your college essay should 100% be a reflection of you and who you are as a person, and that includes the way you write. This is a section where you want to be thinking about how you can deliver this information in a way that is personal and unique to you, because that is what is going to make your essay stand out from every other essay that an admissions officer is going to read. This is the moment where you should be assessing each and every sentence, what that sentence says, and whether or not your voice is in it. I always say that each sentence should have a purpose in your essay. I really want you to focus on writing each sentence as if only you were capable of writing that sentence, as if you were the only person whose brain could have thought up of that, so that way it doesn't sound like anybody else could have written it. My next piece of advice for this step, which might sound counterintuitive to what I just said, is to go and read or listen to other people's essays. This will give you an idea of what it is admission officers are and are not looking for. It can give you ideas on literary devices to use. It can give you an idea on how to start exercising those creative writing skills. There are books that you can buy on this topic, like on Amazon. I think you can get something like 50 successful Harvard admissions essays for like $5. And again, you can go and watch my videos where I read you my accepted and my rejected essays, so you can kind of get a sense for what the tones between those two essays are and why one worked and one didn't. The next thing I want you to keep in mind during your revision process is that revision takes time. Make sure you are giving yourself plenty of time to get through the writing and revision process. Writing your college application essays should not start the night before they're due. You need time to take a step back, get some sleep, and come at it with fresh eyes. So make sure you're giving yourself plenty of time. The last thing that I have to say about revision is to have somebody else review your essay. At the very least, read your essay out loud to yourself so you can catch grammatical errors and sentence flow issues. But it is super important, in my personal opinion, to have somebody else review your essay. Somebody like a parent, a friend, a teacher, a mentor, a consultant like me, so that when they go and read your essay, they can actually tell you whether or not it's reflective of who you are as a person. All right, the next and final step is the final draft and submission. After all of the hard work that you've done and doing all of that brainstorming, writing, and revision, eventually you will have a final draft. If you're anything like me, your final draft was actually you throwing up your hands and saying, I just can't look at this anymore, and submitting it. I'm joking, but really, writing the college application essay is the hardest part of the admissions process because it's usually the most open-ended, and it's where you really have to be introspective and reflect on yourself. It can often be a really cathartic process. It should take a lot of introspection and reflection, but because of this, it is also the most important and vital part of your application. And I cannot stress that enough. The essay is the place where you get to tell the admissions officer who you are, what you're passionate about, what it is you want to do in the future, what makes you tick, the things that you want to do in life, and why they're important. So after doing all of the hard work and you have a final draft that you're proud to submit, I say submit that bitch, give yourself a pat on the back, and take a deep breath and be proud of the work that you've done. That is all that I have for you today about writing the college admission application essay. College essay. Let's go with college essay. I hope it was helpful in getting you started on the writing process. And if you did find it helpful but you feel like you still need a little bit more guidance, like I said, go ahead and check the links below where you can purchase my essay guide, which will take you again step by step through the writing process. It has examples in there, it has my professional advice on how to write these sections, and you can also schedule a one-on-one consultation with me where we can meet to talk and strategize about the application process and have me edit your essays. If you did find this video helpful, if you liked it, don't forget to give it a like. Leave me a comment below, tell me what you think the most important section is of the college application essay. Don't forget to subscribe for more college admission advice and of course UC Berkeley transfer and archaeology related content, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!